The morning began like any other, with the smell of coffee and the soft chirping of birds outside my window. But when I stepped out onto what had once been my patio, I stopped cold. There it was, a pile of broken tiles, splintered wood, and scattered flower pots. My carefully built patio, the place I'd spent countless hours reading, planting, and hosting family gatherings, had been demolished. HOA Karen had done it, labeling it unauthorized and non-compliant. That was the hook, the realization that someone could so casually destroy months of work, with no warning, no discussion, and no apparent remorse. My heart sank as I surveyed the wreckage, the early morning sun glinting off broken glass and twisted metal. The rising action began as I tried to make sense of it. I called the HOA to demand an explanation, but of course, Karen answered with her usual smugness. "It's for the good of the neighborhood," she said. "We have rules, and you didn't follow them." I reminded her politely that I had submitted the plans months ago, had waited for approval, and had received no rejection notice. Her response was a dismissive laugh. The frustration bubbled in me. Every tile, every corner of that patio represented not just time and money, but a piece of my peace. And now, it was rubble. I reached out to my neighbors. Many had had similar experiences with Karen, though none as bold as demolishing property without notice. They shared stories of petty fines, warnings, and the subtle bullying that had become her signature. I realized this wasn't just personal, it was systemic. I wasn't alone, and perhaps together, we could document her abuses. But first, I had to deal with my patio. The conflict escalated quickly. Karen arrived at my property uninvited, clipboard in hand, surveying the damage with the audacity only she could muster. She insisted that the patio had been a hazard and that she had acted in the HOA's best interest. I tried to argue calmly, pointing out the approved plans, the permits, and the fact that no hazards had existed before. She interrupted me, insisting that rules were rules, and her tone left no room for negotiation. My anger rose, but I forced myself to remain calm. Losing my temper would only play into her narrative that I was difficult. The turning point, my comeback, came after a sleepless night of brainstorming. I realized that direct confrontation wasn't going to solve anything. Instead, I would respond creatively, legally, and unmistakably. Over the next few days, I planned a small but formidable project, a tiny fortress on a section of her lawn that bordered my property. It wasn't dangerous, nor was it damaging. It was a clever landscaping installation that would draw attention and make a point. Using stone, brick, and decorative metal fencing, I constructed the fortress entirely within my legal rights, carefully measuring the property line and ensuring no HOA rules were violated. As the fortress took shape, I felt a thrill of satisfaction. Every stone, every arch, and every miniature turret was a subtle reminder of boundaries and respect, and of my determination not to be bullied. The rising action continued as Karen noticed the project. She came over, squinting at the fortress through narrowed eyes, asking what it was and why I had built it. I explained, politely but firmly, that it was a creative landscaping feature that highlighted property boundaries. Her expression soured, and she retreated to make a call to the HOA board, clearly concerned. The payoff came slowly but surely. I documented the fortress and the demolished patio with photos and videos, showing the board exactly what had happened and demonstrating that my new project respected all legal property lines. The HOA board, perhaps tired of Karen's unilateral decisions being challenged, reviewed the evidence carefully. Within a week, they issued a formal acknowledgement. The demolition had been unauthorized. I would receive compensation for the patio, and Karen's authority to make unilateral property modifications was strictly limited. With the fortress completed and the patio plans reinstated, I finally felt a sense of victory. The tiny structure stood as a visible testament to resilience, creativity, and the principle that homeowners have rights that cannot be trampled by overzealous HOA officers. Neighbors who had witnessed the events commented on my clever response, and some even asked for advice on how to handle similar situations. My story became a quiet legend in the neighborhood, a reminder that even small acts of ingenuity could shift power back toward fairness. In the weeks that followed, I restored my patio, planting new flowers, placing comfortable seating, and hosting a small garden tea for neighbors who had supported me. The fortress remained, a gentle but unmistakable reminder to Karen and anyone else who might overstep their bounds. Homeowners' property rights matter, and creativity, combined with legality, can win the day. The story is also a lesson in patience, planning, and persistence. By documenting every step, remaining within legal boundaries, and using creative problem-solving, I turned a frustrating and disheartening situation into a personal victory. I learned that retaliation doesn't need to be aggressive. It can be smart, lawful, and even beautiful. And in doing so, I reclaimed not just my patio, but my peace of mind. If you enjoyed this story, please like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow and reach more homeowners facing similar HOA challenges. I'd also love to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Share your location in the comments and tell me if you ever dealt with an overbearing HOA. Your stories inspire this channel and help create a community where homeowners can learn from each other, share advice, and celebrate victories together.